Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Discord Stage Manager minus audio Q&A virtual gangbang DaVinci Resolve class. This is me, somebody who's been using DaVinci Resolve for 2-ish years now, showing homies in Discord how to get into it for the first time. The first thing you should do, the basic settings that you should check. I have some talking points that I want to go over, but for the most part, I'm just gonna show you the very basics of things. And I think what we'll do at the end is we'll do a Q&A. Save your questions because I don't have a good way of collecting them quite yet. So I'll just say, like, we'll open the Q&A. Queef in the ass. We'll open the Q&A at the end, have everybody ask, and then we'll just we'll go through it. So let me bring up my talking points over here. So, okay, first things first. So when you first open DaVinci, normally the UI that you're seeing in the background is not open, and you just get this project manager. And you'll see a couple tabs up here, local, network, and cloud. They actually do have cloud syncing of projects so that you can work on things in more than one place. I don't know if this is sharing yet. And that's the other thing I want to preface this with. I am not a DaVinci Resolve professional. I've been using DaVinci Resolve 2 years. I'm self-taught plus YouTubing the shit out of anything that I wanted to learn. I do not know the ins and outs of my camera and its settings. I do not know the ins and outs of color grading. I don't know shit about the Fusion tab in DaVinci Resolve. I'm just going to try and show you what to do to get basic editing down if you're trying this for the first time. I'm going to be skipping a majority of this software and just trying to show you what you need to know to get started, right? Because when you first look at this, you're like, Jesus Christ, what do I look at? Look at me. Look at me. Let me take a sip. The other thing that's cool, if you have DaVinci on a computer and DaVinci on an iPad, you can do cloud and sync things between. What up, 16-bitten? Great to see you. Dude, the chat is so real time. Is this what it's like to stream on kick.com? So you open up DaVinci, you do new project, okay? And if you are used to Adobe Premiere, you know that right at the beginning, it asks you to specify a bunch of settings. And you can still do that within Resolve, but it's not as intrusive. Like you can get started without changing anything. So once I get into the software, you're going to notice all of these tabs at the bottom. Media, cut, edit, fusion, color, fairlight, deliver. I skip over these first two tabs. There are some people who love the cut page, and there are a lot of people that don't even look at it. I'm one of the people that don't even look at it. When I first jumped into this tab made no fucking sense to me, but I know that there's plenty of people that have made use of it. And I think that DaVinci's hardware that they sell, like the big control panels, I think they're mostly fit for this page, but we don't give a shit about that. So let's just go to the edit page, all right? What I always do as a habit is I am setting my video resolution, video frame rate, color bit depth before I even start a timeline. So I'm coming down here. I'm going to hit settings. Oh, God. Excuse me. Timeline resolution. One thing that I've noticed a big difference between Premiere and DaVinci is I'm sure if any of you have edited in Premiere, you've started a whole project, edited it, finished it, and then you realized, oh my God, my timeline is set to 720. Yeah. And then you go and you try and change it, and all your shit's fucked up. That does not exist in DaVinci Resolve. If you accidentally edit with the wrong timeline resolution, you can just change it at the end, everything auto fits, and then you export. I've done it so many times. It works so well. It's actually stupid. So that problem does not exist in DaVinci, which is cool. So what resolution you choose is going to matter on the resolution that you are recording at, but it also depends on how powerful your computer is and what kind of experience you want to have for editing. So even though I shoot at 4K on my Sony a6400, I keep my timeline resolution to 1920 by 1080 when I'm on my Mac Mini, because Mac Minis do not play nice with editing 4K footage on a 4K resolution in full resolution timeline. So because I know I want to do this for visual purposes, I'm going to leave that at 1920 by 1080. If you're doing portrait content, if you just select vertical resolution, it automatically flips those for you. That's super handy. Leave this alone. Frame rate is very important. Today, I know that the footage that I've recorded using OBS is 60 frames per second, so I want to keep this on 60. The timeline frame rate is always going to depend on what you shot. Always. And what you'll notice is that if you don't specify these settings beforehand, actually, you're still going to get a pop-up, so I'll show you that in a second. Video monitoring. Almost always I'm leaving this default because these settings match what I'm doing. You can get away with not fucking with any of this and you'll be fine. And this just comes with my philosophy when it comes to anything in tech, right? If you have people that are inexperienced or don't know as much that are sharing information, you'll have people come in like, you can't do that. If you do this, this will happen, and that's not good, right? Like people who stream with the wrong audio sample rate in OBS. People have been streaming with fucked up settings for decades, and you don't know unless you ask. And it'll be fine. If your settings are fucked up for the first 6 months of you making videos, it's going to be fine. You'll be fine. Don't stress about it. Fuck everyone. Yeah, it's being recorded. Sharuk, Apple with Final Cut is so much more optimized for Apple Silicon than Premiere is. You can still get away with it if you cut down your timeline resolution, which you should because your preview is going to be small anyways. But yeah, the M1s struggle with Resolve sometimes. It depends on your codec, your container, your file size, your bitrate. There's so many other factors. But yeah, I'm creating proxies on I have a M1. So it's understandable that I'm creating proxies. But anyways, down here, don't even fucking look at this shit. Don't get confused. This will come later. If you don't know what optimized media / proxies is, so let's say I record a 1 hour video in OBS and I recorded it at 4K, 50 kilobit per second bit rate, right? The file's 30 gigabytes. A proxy is creating a duplicated version of that video in lower quality so that it is easier to edit. So if you ever hear people talking about editing proxies, they're re-encoding and duplicating all of the footage that they want to edit so that their video editing software can work with it easier. And of course, all of this comes down to what hardware you have in your computer. So just for reference, in this PC right now, I have an Intel i7 8700K stock clocked. I have a 3080 Ti stock clocked, 32 gigabytes of RAM. I am all PCIe flash storage except for my one game drive, which is SSDs as well, but no platters in here whatsoever. If you're going to edit video, do yourself a favor, go to Amazon, pick up a 500 gig SanDisk SSD for fucking $30. Put all your videos on there. And buy a backup drive and back up your shit. Because I know you people don't have fucking backups. Okay. So, project settings, done, right? You don't need to do anything else. Hit save. So I'm going to come up to my desktop, and this is going to be the act of importing our first footage. So I'm dragging a video from my desktop into the timeline, or you can do it over here to the media pool, but boop, it's in. Now, if my timeline settings were different, you're going to get a pop-up that says, hey, that clip you're importing has a different frame rate than your timeline. Do you want to change it? And I don't like things that get changed automatically, but it's always going to depend. So now that we have our clip in here, we can come back to the settings and say, okay, sweet, we're still in a 1920 by 1080 resolution, 60 frames per second, right? All of this stuff you can leave alone, and we're good to go. Jesus Christ. Oh, my my hotkeys are going to be all fucked because Apple. All right, so this might be a little bit of a learning experience for me. But that's okay. All right. Where's my talking points? Face ID. Scan me! Thank you. So that's importing media, right? Over here on the left, you have your media pool. And by default, it's just one massive bin. And what I typically like to do for video editing is I break this up into 4 categories. All right, so let's go new bin. New bin is just a folder. We're going to do video. And then we're going to do audio. And then we're going to do picture. And what's the fucking 4th? Yo, sure. I think that's it. Yeah, that might be it. That's fine. Okay, so we're going to take our... Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry, that was a little loud. I got to turn my speakers down. All right, so do that. Let's say I have... Oh, you know what? This doesn't have multi-track. Let me find... Hold on a second. Let me find a video that has multi-track audio because that is something that I want to touch on as well. Goodbye. Let's go to my unicorn. Unicorn. Silver ball in my mouth. Do something with videos. Do I got any MKVs in here? No! For video editing. Shit! Let me find something. Sorry. I'm sorry. Let's go back to my NAS. Unicorn. Media. Gaming? Game record. Yeah, game recordings. Let's see if we can do... some old Rocket League. That's probably... Oh, of course they're MP4s. You punk bitch. Roblox? We got any Roblox? Hey! There we go! Nice! If y'all haven't played Roblox, you're missing out. Are you going to cover AI subtitle generation? No, I'm not. I'm not. Just, we're sticking to the basics. Yes, the subtitle is studio exclusive, unfortunately, and it's only in the beta right now. Oh, that's something I should say too. I am currently using the paid version of DaVinci Resolve. Now, the things that I'm talking about today are not going to impact that whatsoever. I'm not using any studio-specific features. There's just some performance things, like you can use hardware acceleration to make your editing experience better. But nothing we're going to touch on is going to be paywalled. All right. So I have my video in here. Okay. So let's just go over some of the basics, right? You have your video timeline up here. That is going to be all of your video tracks. And because I recorded this using OBS, and because I recorded to MKV, it supports multi-track audio. And in OBS, you can actually choose which one of your audio sources goes to what audio track in the video file. Now, to give you a little context as far as multi-track, if I were to play this video in a standard media player like Media Player Classic, VLC, the built-in media player for Windows, it is only going to play track 1. So if you have a multi-track video file with 5 video tracks, you're only going to hear track 1, which is kind of a pain sometimes for editing. It's just how it goes. Because you have to have the files in a video editor unless you are using a third-party video app that has multi-track audio playback. There's some other ways around it. When it comes to choosing how your audio is recorded in OBS, actually, you know what? I might be able to... Oh, fuck. Let me show you this. I'll be able to explain it. So if I come into advanced audio properties, okay? So let's say I had 6 devices here. and I would have it broken out to where I only want my desktop audio to be in track 1, and I only want my Discord audio, or I'm sorry, the game audio to be in track 2. What I typically do, because I don't have 6 audio tracks, is I put all audio tracks in number 1. And then I'll put Discord only in number 2. And then I'll put the game only in number 3. So that way, when you're watching back footage on your computer, not inside of a video editor, you can hear all of the audio at once. That way, it's just easier to navigate around clips. So just a little extra nugget of information there for you. So I have 4 different audio tracks here. All audio for the entire clip is always in number 1. So typically what I do when I'm editing is I will mute number 1 and then I just make it tiny. And then this is my mic, this is Discord, and then this is game. And that's just splitting it up using either my Beacon Mix Create routing. You can also do this with GoXLR. You can do this with Wavelink, however you're breaking it out. I know a lot of people like to break their audio out in OBS, like they use OBS plugins to split applications to different sources. I don't like to go that way because then you have to use OBS for everything, and that's not my kink. It could be. I'm sorry. I've forgotten to be a how to streamer, and I apologize for burping into the microphone. But yeah, so and that's why this is getting off track a little bit, but USB microphones wet my anus because of the software that allows you to do routing. I'm just the biggest fan. It's so difficult for me to recommend an XLR microphone. Holy butthole! I forgot that emote existed. It's just so difficult because the things like the Elgato Wave and the Beacon mic and the Rode stuff it's becoming so powerful. So I'm getting off track here. I apologize. Editing, right? So normally with DaVinci, actually I'm going to show you this real quick. Keyboard customization. One of the coolest things about DaVinci is their keyboard customization panel. You can come up here to where it says DaVinci Resolve, and you can select Adobe Premiere Pro, and it is going to automatically change all of the keybinds to match what Adobe Premiere's defaults are, which is fucking baller. Oh my fucking god. Or there's Final Cut and there's Pro Tools. So really cool. I don't use this as much. I don't know if you have seen, but I use a Work Louder Creator Micro as a macro pad for editing. I actually don't have my hand on my keyboard for video editing at all. It is all done on that 16 key macro pad. So my shit over on the Mac is highly customated. So we'll customated. So we're close at. Somebody asked, how do you get there? In the top, go to DaVinci Resolve, keyboard customization, or Control-Alt-K. I shit my pants. I fucking shit my pants. So that's keybinds. So if you do B, nope, is it C? Hold on. Oh. B, okay, oh my God, B. B for blade. B is the blade tool, or what's known in other applications as the cut or the split. So you can see that little, like not so much little, it's a massive razor blade. When you are using A as your selection tool, when you're wanting to like click and drag and move things around, you can see that me hovering over the footage doesn't scrub it. If I click and drag up in here in the timeline, it will scrub. Or if you hit B or the blade tool, that will scrub. And you guys can't hear it, but when you scrub like this, it's playing the audio as fast as you're scrubbing, just like Final Cut does when you're moving over it. I don't do this very often. I typically will just click and drag over when I'm trying to review something. It's a part of my brain that I can't fix, unfortunately. If you do not have a mouse with horizontal scrolling abilities, if you're not a masochist and you have not bought an Apple mouse for yourself, if you hold down Control and scroll wheel, you will scroll right on the timeline and then left on the timeline. If you hold down Alt, you will zoom in and out. Or if you hold down Shift, you can shrink all of the audio tracks at once, or you can shrink all of the video tracks at once. So those are just some key hotkeys for you. So let's get back into audio. Let's just do some basic cuts. All right. So let's say I'm going through here and I just want to zoom in of me just murdering somebody in the face. Actually, the key point of this clip is probably near the end. Let's see. Ooh. Do I win this one? Oh, do I beat somebody with the pan? No! Nope, I lose. I lost it. I do get a golden gun kill, though. Okay, so let's go right here. So I'm going to hit the B tool for blade. I'm going to cut it. And you can see now I have two different clips here that I can move around. If you click and drag up just like audio or just like Adobe Premiere, you can move this into different tracks. And you'll see when I click on the one, all of the tracks are highlighted, which isn't necessarily a good thing all of the time. So right now, all of these clips are linked together. If you right click and then hit link clips, then you click off and then you re-click, you can see that this is now become independent and you can do whatever you want with it. And you can do that individually with every single track. Now, if I wanted to move this one out of here and then click and highlight these all and then right click and link again, you can. Then you can move them all together again, or you can unlink. Just like you can with Windows Explorer, if you control click things, you can select multiple things at once. You can also do shift clicking, especially in the color tab. Shift clicking will select a bunch of things at once. MX Master is at work. Worst mouse on the planet. I use a MX Master at work. I switch between the MX Master and the trackball. There's also a link button above the timeline next to the magnet. Oh, there is! Look at that. Wait. I thought that was for something different. I thought... Okay, that's what it is. All right, so if you have this selected and you have clips that are linked together, they will always move together. But even though these clips are all linked, if you uncheck the link, you can break this one out and it'll actually give you an indication that, hey, you're dragging this file away from its linked shit. That's what I always forget about that. Yep. So, okay. So that is that. Let me move this back. You know what? I'll undo all the way back. One of the things that people who use Final Cut nut over is the magnetic timeline. And I get it. Once you've really gotten accustomed to the magnetic timeline, it is difficult to get away from it. So I'll show you a couple things about timeline that are cool. These aren't DaVinci Resolve specific things, but in case you're just coming from a different editor like Windows Live Movie Maker or CapCut, we've all been there, okay? I helped a customer on Friday. He was using Windows 10 and Windows Live Mail to get his email. Windows Live Mail end of life was 2014. It was still fucking working. Isn't that some shit? Okay, let's say I cut this bitch. All right, blade, cut it, delete it. And you're like, oh fuck, there was a part of this that I wanted. You can grab the end of it and extend it. And you can recover all of that footage that was in the part that you clipped out. Now, you obviously, if you import a clip, you can only go as far as the clip will go, right? You can't just keep extending it into oblivion. This isn't AI. It's not just going to auto-generate more footage, but that is something that is cool. So let's say I have these two clips. I'm actually going to hold down Alt, click, and drag, and that duplicates a clip. Like the magnetic timeline, you can click an empty space in between two clips and hit delete, and it will bring everything back. So even if you have a very complicated, I got to figure this out. Here we go. I'm just going to make a bunch of different clips. All right. Like we're a real editing bitch. Oh man, I am struggling without my trackpad on my Mac right now. Give me that. This, right? Let's just say we got a super complex timeline and these two things are together. If I decide I want to cut this part out, and if I do a shift delete, that is called a ripple delete. All right, that will delete the clip that you have selected and bring everything back. Or if I just click that and I hit backspace because I want to put a clip in its place, it'll just delete that empty. But you're like, ah, fuck, no, I wanted to do a ripple delete. Click that empty space, and then you can hit delete, and it'll bring it back. I'm sorry. It's backspace on Windows. Forgot about that. There's no delete. There was one other thing that's in there. Delete, ripple, delete. That's what it was. Let's say I have this all the way over here. So this is like a clip that I've pulled from a different piece of media, and I hit Control-C to copy it. And I want my dick to go in between these two cheeks. If you change this right here, this is called an insert clip, or if you hit F9, it will insert that clip. Hello? Mom? Well, anyways, it's supposed to insert the clip in between there. Is it that one? What the oh, man. Is it because it's the same clip? Hold on. It's supposed to do that. It's not even, it's not highlighting. Maybe you have to have a clip selected over here. That's what it is. I don't remember it being that way. There's a way that you can do a copy paste insert. All right, let me show you something else, okay? Over here in your media pool, and this is something I kind of glossed over earlier, I apologize. Left side, these are all of those bins that we created. So we click on master, we can see all of the bins. If we go into video, these are the two clips that I have added here. If you hover your mouse over the clip itself, it will allow you to quickly scrub through the media. And it plays audio while you're doing that too. And if you notice over here, there's this little red bar in the bottom of it. And that shows you that that is the section of the clip that I pulled into the timeline. So if I were to come later down my line and I was to double click on here, and let's say I know that I just want this part of the video. The left is the media player video. The right is the timeline player. So on the left, I'm going to hit I for in, and then I'm going to scroll to where I murder some children, and then I'm going to hit O for out. And now you can see there's this little portion of the clip that has been selected. So now if I click and drag this, it is only grabbing that smallest piece that I selected up here. Another cool thing about that is if you realize that you in and out too early, or you did not pull out soon enough, you can still grab the edge of the clip and drag it to expand it. I don't know why my indicators are so huge. I think it's because my secondary monitor is going through that HDMI switcher that I have and the scale. Oh, I changed my monitor scaling, but I didn't reboot. That's why. Okay, so that's another thing you can do. And if you already have an in and out over here, and then you go earlier in the clip and you hit in and out, you can just drag it again, and it'll do that same thing. Super cool. Okay. Delete that, and that. So let's come over to this second clip. I'm going to hit in, I, and O. Drag this in. You can see this is a clip that... Oh, that's one thing I want to show you. Let's say you have something in this... Oops. So you have something over here in your media pool, and you only want the video. If you uncheck the audio track from being active and then you drag it in, it will only drag in the video. Same thing with the audio. If you I keep dragging it backwards instead of hitting undo. If you uncheck the video and you leave the audio and you drag it in, it will only drag the audio of the clip in there. I really like that. I don't think that's a DaVinci exclusive either. How do you clear the in and out selection? Great fucking question. Will that work for this? It does. Okay, cool. If you have an in and out belly button, Alt X clears your in and out. If you are also doing an in and out on the timeline itself, which you can do for exporting, if you do an Alt X, that will clear the selection as well. What's the left video track called again? I don't know. I don't fucking know. Player. It's a video machine, okay? It takes pictures in sequence, plays them in sequence, and it makes a video. I'm still pissed off that insert clip didn't work. Let me try this again. Hold on. If I double click this, in and out, drag it in, copy it. There we go. Okay. So I clicked this clip, Control C to copy. I put my head in between the two cheeks, and I hit this. So it does like a ripple insert. Sweet. That's that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on here. What are you guys looking for? Left video track. Oh, you saying you don't have you're only seeing your timeline? Is that the issue? For people watching this in the future, I'm sorry, I'm reading chat, you can't see. Only timeline. Try coming up to workspace and then doing a reset. There is, yeah, layout presets. Right under that, it says reset UI layout. Try doing that. Full disclosure, that is one of the biggest complaints that people have about Resolve is, I remember with Premiere, you can just move parts of the UI anywhere you want and really customize it to your liking, to your monitor layout. DaVinci does not work that way, unfortunately. And you kind of have to just abide by how they have it, which sucks. But I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit of something about me, and this is related. I get pretty, I don't want to say annoyed, but you have to be able to, you got to try new things. And, you know, a little while ago, I put out a tweet that was like, how long do you think is enough to get used to something new? So, you know, if you're using one piece of software and you pick up a new one, how long do you think is enough time for you to say, this isn't going to work for me, can't do it, I'm going back? In my mind, in my opinion, I should say, that is 1 to 2 months. And that goes with a lot of different things, right? You know, there's a lot, you can say something about peripherals, like, nope, this mouse isn't going to work for me. This keyboard isn't going to work for me. You got to give yourself longer to really explore. And what I'll say anecdotally is that if you do that, if you are somebody who gives things so much more time to get acclimated, you will really open up your mind. You know, you will just, the experiences that you can have will just grow exponentially, and I can't recommend it enough. So when it comes to things like this, if somebody's like, yeah, I tried it for a week, it's not for me, well, eat a dick. How about that, Chris? Okay, so that is basic clip editing. I'm trying to think what else on this page is, if I was new and I'm looking at all this, what's the next thing I would want to do? We could probably do some, well, let's do some video. We'll do some video shit first. We'll move over to audio, okay? So I'm just going to clear this because it looks confusing, and we're just going to go back to have a normal ass clip. Okay. Oops. All right. So let's say I just want to zoom in on me doming this child. So we're going to do a blade. Domed. And then, oh man, I missed my fucking golden gun. Oh, that's okay. It's all right. One of the most important tools of Resolve is the inspector. So two things that you're not going to see on this screen right now is the audio controls and the inspector. So if you click on the inspector tab in the top right, that is going to give you the basic controls for video control. And right now, the inspector is a dynamic panel to where it changes depending on what you're selected on. If you're looking at my timeline right now, you can see that I have nothing selected. As soon as I click on this clip, boop, damn it. didn't do what I wanted to do. Okay. So because I'm selected on this clip in the top right, I'm on this video tab. So right now I'm inspecting the video properties of this clip. I could also then go over to audio and make some changes as well. I'll be honest, because I deal with multi-track audio so often, it is not common for me to edit audio within this panel. I do all of that in Fairlight, and we're going to get into Fairlight a little bit more. So let's go over to video. Let's just say I want to do a quick cut to make this middle clip more zoomed in, and I'll show you how to do like a keyframe zoom, which is super simple as well. You'll notice right now that my playhead is not snapping to any of the edges like it was before, and turning that on and off can be helpful, but right now it's pissing me off. See this little magnet right here? If you click on that magnet, then your playhead goes back to snapping. Swoop, swoop, swoop. So that's what we want. So I'm going to click, hold Alt, scroll in to zoom in, and I just want to make this video zoomed in. So by default, the X and the Y axis are linked so that they stretch in proportion. If I were to uncheck this and then I started zooming in, it's just going to make that bitch wide, and I don't want that. So I'm going to undo, hit the link, and then grab this and zoom in. So if I were to come back here and hit play, as soon as it goes to that next clip, boop, zooms in. Domed him in the dick. Sweet. Now, let's say I wanted to do like a really simple like keyframe zoom in. I wanted to zoom in slowly over time. If you are not familiar with keyframing, this might be a little foreign to you, and that's okay. Keyframing is very meticulous, and it can be really annoying too. So I'm going to click this clip, and I'm going to hit a keyframe on zoom and position, because these are the coordinates that I want to adjust. And I'm going to go later in the clip, and you'll see that when I moved away from where I keyframed, the keyframe went from red to gray, meaning it's not detecting the keyframe is there anymore. So I'm going to go all the way to here, right where I shoot him in the dick. Okay. And I'm going to hit keyframe for zoom and position again. And then I'm going to change the properties of the video to zoom all the way in. And then I can also just adjust this to right at his fucking penis where I want the attention. So let's go back here. Play. Zoomed right in on its dick. Sweet. Okay. So you've got that zoomed in now, right? It's doing a quick-ish zoom over time. But you don't remember where you put your goddamn keyframe, right? Because every single one of these little notches is a frame of a video. And right now we're doing 60 frames per second. If I'm over here at another part of the video, it tells you that there's actually a keyframe earlier on. And if you click that arrow, it'll bring you back to the very part of the video where that keyframe was. And then if you click it again, it'll take you back to that one. So let's say you're like, okay, that zoom took way too long. I want to make it shorter. Go to that keyframe, uncheck both of them. And then we're going to move this playhead back because we want to zoom in faster. Hit the keyframes, and then zoom in again. Then when we play, it's going to do a fast zoom. Okay, that wasn't much faster. Now, I know what you're thinking. Jesus Christ, I have to grab sliders in order to change the sizes of things. No, you don't. The other cool thing over here is this little button. And this is actually allows you to do a lot of different things, but the one that I use it the most for are transform, crop, and dynamic zoom. So this is grayed out. It is not selected. If I click this button, see, I get some controls here. And now I can click and drag this clip around in this player over here. Now, you can kind of tell that the edges of the video are fitting the exact edges of the player. If I hover my mouse over here, hold Alt, and then, or is it Control? Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's just zoom. Scroll wheel on any of these players zooms in and out. Is it Alt goes, Control goes up and down, letting go of Control and scrolling does that. Okay, gotcha. So, because I'm super zoomed in, you can't see the bounding edges, but once you get zoomed out, you can see that you can go, all right, zoom back in, you can grab it, you can move it around. You're going to see this line here, and that's because I have a keyframe, and that's showing the movement of the video. Get really cool with it. But if I have a clip that has no keyframing in it whatsoever. I move my playhead over here. You can see you just get the bounding boxes. So same deal with cropping. If I were to grab over here and hit crop, you can grab the edges and crop these in. And you can also keyframe crops, which is something that comes in handy if you're trying to focus attention on something. So if I come over to cropping and I expand, so let's say I want to crop in and zoom in on me doming this fucking kid. All right. So we're going to stop here. I'm going to keyframe my zoom. I'm going to keyframe the position too, just in case, and the crop. And then I know that the arrow keys on my keyboard do frames in the timeline. So if I were to hit the right arrow 5 times, I am 5 frames in the future from where I'm at. And again, if you're looking up here in the top right corner, I'm not aligned with my keyframe anymore. So if I hit left arrow 5 times, I'm back to my keyframe. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to crop all the way in. And I also want to zoom here, because what I plan on doing is I'm going to hold Alt to click. Holding Alt and dragging creates a duplicate of the clip. And then I want to move this to the left. And then I'm going to hold down Alt. See, because these are linked, hold down Alt to click. It selects just that one. Click and drag to create another duplicate. And then I'm going to drag this one to the left so that when it plays, oh, that would have been sick. Oh, that was sick. Split it into 3 different videos. And it did that really quickly because I did it, I did a 5-frame keyframe movement, which is really, really fast. So I'll show you what it looks like in frame. So here's first frame, second, third, fourth, fifth. Now, there are plugins, there are fusion presets, there are so many different things that allow you to do a lot of this easier. I will actually show you one of them, which is super fucking cool. One of the greatest parts about Resolve for me right now is the community. There are so many awesome people that are giving away free or cheap plugins. And the education community behind DaVinci is just as prominent with Resolve. It is only getting bigger. Just in the past 3 months, I'm seeing such a massive influx of very large, prominent creators in the space. I'm like talking YouTube channels with millions of subs switching over to Resolve. It is a super exciting time. So I'm just going to shout out a couple people that are very in the forefront of the DaVinci education. Patrick Sterling is one of my favorite dudes ever. Not only is he a really great educator when it comes to DaVinci Resolve, he is also a super nice guy and always willing to help, and he gives away so much shit for free. And he's actually one of the few creators that I sub to. I subscribe to this dude on his website. His website! Who does that in 2023? That's how valuable this dude is. So this is his YouTube channel right here, Patrick Sterling. Non-stop education when it comes to DaVinci Resolve presets. Sorry, Patrick. I gotta take a sip. Hold on. Another dude, Mr. Alex Tech. Oh my God. He just released, I think within the last maybe 2 months ago, this magic zoom preset, which gives you super smooth zooms in like a click and drag. I just started using it. It's super awesome. Let me see if I can give you a quick tutorial on what
music and sound effects for just $59. Link below. Seamless zooms like this in
the basics.
Footage on them, duplicate them, all that sort of fun stuff. Once that's on there,
show it quickly.
go back to your effects library.
I don't want to dilly-dally. But anyways, you'll see over here, we haven't really gotten to this point yet, but there's an effects tab that allows you to do drag and drop effects for clips. And he has, DaVinci Resolve has this type of plugin. It's a certain file extension that I can't remember off the top of my head right now. I think it's DCPX or DRPX. They are these plugins that people can create and put up for people to either buy or download, and you can just install it, and it installs the plugin into DaVinci Resolve. So his right now is called Magic Zoom. I think it's Mr. Alex Tech's Magic Zoom, and it appears in the effects tab, and then you just drag and drop onto your clip. Super fucking cool. So let me show you. Uh-oh. Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm by myself. What the shit? I feel like I'm by myself, and I feel like no one's listening. I apologize for that. Let's do Patrick Sterling, and then I think Alex Tech does Gumroad. Mr. Alex Tech, are you on Gumroad? Are you giving gummies? Or are you on coffee? Oh, I think he's on coffee. It's the Monster Energy drink. I think his Zoom one is free, but you can pay for it. Yeah, you can get it for free if you want. Throw him a couple bucks, all right? Just do it. Super cool dude. It's version 3. He puts a lot of hard work into his shit. DRFX, that's what it's called. Right here, DRFX. Those are the types of files that you can download and import into DaVinci. But yeah, he has a lot of really awesome presets that he has created. Support the dude. And then, of course, Patrick Sterling. He also has his own website. Where are you, Patrick? Patrick!
Here are 20 free presets.
Yeah, here we go. So he has something super cool where if you subscribe to his website for $5 a month, he has a single download that is every free plugin that he's ever made. I think it's like 40 or 50 plus, and you can install them all with one click. This is one of the plugins that are super awesome. This one's called Stabilization. It makes it really easy to lock onto things and track them to get this kind of effect. Makes it really, really easy so that you don't have to fuck with it manually. Because I used to do this manually with keyframing. I actually still do sometimes. I don't have to do it as much. Regular Monster Vans, I straight up green. I'm not a big fan of the other types of flavored energy drinks. The Mucho Mango one was good. That's about it. I like regular Rockstar, regular Red Bull, regular Monster. He has a whole page of free presets. I'm going to put these, I'll put this link into the chat for y'all. And yeah, subscribe to the man, okay? So many free things. There are different text things. Look at that, dude. Windows 97. Let's go. Different text presets, stream animations. This shaky text is actually one of my favorites as well. I will put Mr. Alex Tech into the chat too, so you guys can check him out. Again, another one of the big differences with Resolve in relation to Premiere. Premiere has so many built-in effects. The built-in text editor is really good, and it's easy to use as somebody that doesn't do like 3D animation. DaVinci is lacking, and you kind of have to go out there and get your own shit in order to make Resolve resourceful. That's one of the downsides. That was one of the big shocks for me when I first got into Resolve. But again, with how many people are making their own shit and uploading it for free, it's not as bad. It gets easier. Okay, so that's kind of the majority of getting your first clips in, doing some manipulations. Over here are some of the basic inspector tools. Lens correction, stabilization if you're trying to stabilize shaky footage. There is changing the pitch, changing the yaw. You can rotate. You can do keyframes of rotations as well. I'll just show you that really quickly. I'll make a duplicate of this clip. Say I want to do a like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So let's say we reset all of our keyframes. Select the clip, keyframe. Go all the way over here. And then we will do, let's do a bunch of rotations. Around the world, around the world. Not bad, right? Is there anything basic-wise that all of you are looking for that I did not cover? Looking at my talking notes again here to see if there's anything else super basic. Moving, blading, ripple delete, regular delete. You know, if you click and drag a clip, you will overwrite it like that. But even if you do overwrite it, you can move it away and then regain what you lost. Like Thanos! Trimming. Okay. I feel like that's it with the basic stuff. We still have, I'm going to do really basic color correction. I'll touch on the fairlight tab, which is for audio. We can do a title. You can do a title real quick. Let's do that. Okay. Let's say we want to add some text to the beginning. Come up here to the effects tab. Oh, distraction, sound library. I can't remember exactly how to do it, but there is a free built-in sound library that gives you like 500 plus sound effects. They're all built into this by default, even on the free version. I can't remember how to do it since it's been a while, but no, that is there. Let's go back to the effects tab. So over on the effects, you have them broken up into video transitions, audio transitions, titles, generators, effects. Open effects is some more detailed effects. You know, there's like basic, and then there is advanced. So let's say we just want to blur. I think that's probably one of the easiest things, and probably what some people do for portrait video. That's actually something that we can do as well. So let's do an effect first. Let's do a title, and then we'll do a blur and a portrait. So titles, these are all of the titles that are built in. If you hover your mouse over the title and you scrub left to right, it shows you what that text animation is. And Jesus Christ, how smooth this is compared to my Mac. Good Lord. Right? It's just going to show you a sample of what that text is doing. Now, because these texts are animated, just remember that it's going to be a little bit tougher for your computer to play back because of the animation, especially if you're on a lower powered computer. So this is actually one of my favorite texts right here, the jitter one. So let's use that one. Drag that onto the timeline. And once you click it, you'll see in the top right, the inspector changes to reflect the thing that you are clicked on. So now that I have sample, I'm just going to put shitting on children with my golden gun. And if you play,
holy
so you can
shit,
see
let's go.
it stuttered a little bit. Oh, thank you. Okay, everybody in chat, bookmark that video. I'm gonna. Oh my god.
This is Kayla. She's a video editor on Fiverr, a platform for freelance services.
Free plugins.
This video right here. As you can see, I already watched it because there was some fantastic information in here. This dude really knows what he's doing. He just started editing for Harris Heller and the Senpai channel. You know, he has extensive knowledge, as you can see, that fat cock of a lens over here. Very, very knowledgeable in the photo and video world. And he's now editing for the Senpai channel. And he just switched over to DaVinci Resolve. And this whole video is just like the first 5 things you should do to just be a boss at DaVinci. And there's some really, really good shit in here. And actually, he includes the Magic Zoom plugin from Mr. Alex Tech that we talked about a little bit ago. Let's see what else they touch on. Animate, Camrig, Reactor, and the sound library. Yep, sound library at the end. So yeah, Senpai Gaming, awesome video. Thank you for linking that, because that is a invaluable resource right there. How do you open that text box with the text animations? This one over here? Click on effects in the top left. And then you got to click on the titles over here on the left, and that brings up all the titles. So you can see that these are broken up into titles and then fusion titles. The fusion titles are the animated ones. So you could probably see there that the video chugged a little bit that first time I tried to play it. Now I am viewing my timeline in full resolution. So this is a 1440p 60 frames per second clip. on a 1920 by 1080 timeline, playing in full resolution. If you are somebody that does not have the paid version of DaVinci Resolve, or you just have a lower powered computer that doesn't have a beefy GPU, you can reduce the resolution of the video in the timeline so that you have a better editing experience. And it might happen to where you start editing a video and you're 5 minutes in, and after you start adding these clips and animations and transitions and really things start to slow down. If you come up here to playback and timeline resolution, you can change this to half and quarter. So that is actually going to reduce the quality of the video that is in the playback viewer over here. So you can see things are a little fuzzy, and they'll be even fuzzier
let's go.
when you hit play. And it just makes for a better editing experience. And if you have a computer that just isn't as beefy, that's what's going to have to happen. So you can see that my text right now is bleeding off of the edges. Come over to the text editor inspector on the right, grab the size and bring it down. Now, again, the text editing is not as detailed, and you can't do as much. You do have the ability to change the tracking. You can change the line spacing. You get some basic editing. But if you want to do a lot more, you're going to have to learn the Fusion tab, which is not something that I have gotten into at all. I have been editing in Resolve for 2 years. I've not touched this tab. This is where you get into the really advanced shit within this program, and I cannot recommend it enough. I just haven't done it yet because I am somebody who gets too caught up in trying to make things look amazing instead of making a good video and telling a good story. And so I have avoided learning this page because I was more focused on learning how to tell a good story first rather than just make things look pretty. That's me, anecdotally. Okay, so that's the text.
Holy shit.
Now, with the text, in the same way that you can do with videos, you can keyframe motions in and out. So even if this was just a basic piece of text that didn't have any animations, let's say I wanted to do a traditional Looney Tunes credits scroll of the text from bottom to the top. Okay, so this is actually, that's not a good option because I can't see the text at the beginning of the clip. Deleted. Dragging another one. Actually, you know what? Sorry, need that text. Boop boop. Paste. Shitting on my children. Click the beginning of the clit. Settings. And we're going to move this. Oops. I don't know my, what are these? Axes. Moving it down. I'm going to keyframe it. And let's say I want to go up 5 seconds. If you hold shift and then you hit the right arrow. No, control. Yeah. If you hold down shift and hit right arrow, you go in the future 5 seconds. I'm going to move it all the way to the top. One thing I forgot to mention. I keyframed it here. I moved my playhead. And instead of hitting keyframe and then moving it, as soon as you grab it and move it, it automatically creates the keyframe. You can see right there that it's red. So I'm just going to move this up right there. Go back to my beginning keyframe, hit play, and there you can see it scrolls. So that's how you can just do basic motion within editing, you know, and that's going to apply to anything that is in this field here. Anything above this line in the video editing portion of it. Yeah, Fusion's really good shit. There's so much cool stuff you can do there. Okay, that was the text. What were we doing after that? Blurring. Let's go up to here. Let's do a vertical resolution. Now, there are templates that you can download that will do this shit automatically. But let's say you don't want to use a template and you just want to do this quick and dirty. I'm going to take all these clips, zoom them out. So if you were trying to make a gaming clip for a short form video platform, this is what you got, right? Horizontal video on a portrait canvas. So what you would want to do is alt click to just get the video, alt drag to make a duplicate, and then click the underlying video, and we're going to zoom this all the way in. Now, I don't like the way that this looks up here, so I'm actually going to zoom in even more. And we want to add a blur. And the only reason we're doing this is because there's going to be a lot of important information in this horizontal part of the video. And I want to capture it all, but I want it to fit on a portrait style video player. And trust me, people don't give a shit that it looks like this, okay? If the clip is funny, they'll watch it. So I'm going to come over to my toolbox, and I'm just going to hit search for blur. And you can see there's blur dissolve. But this is actually a transition, and that's not what I'm looking for. So if I come down here and I click on open effects, now it's giving me all of my options for blurring. So I'm going to click on, is it Gaussian? Gaussian. Click and drag this to the bottom clip. You can see it got a little blurry in the background. And over in the inspector, the effects tab is now lit up. And I now have my own settings just for the effects that I have dragged to this clip. So let's say I wanted to do 2 different effects. Let's say I wanted to do, what other effect could I do on here? Let's do a glow. Drag it to that clip. Now I have 2 different options for effects. If I want to adjust the blur, I can click and collapse, or I can open and collapse the glow. So that's super cool. And you can also toggle the effects off for that clip too, if you wanted to. So let's just do the blur. I'll expand that. And because, you know, just from a video editing perspective, the blur needs to be heavy, because if it's not blurry enough, their attention is going to be dragged away. So grab the strength, increase that bitch. And now you just have a full frame video.
Oh my god.
That's horizontal for portrait.
So
And now you've done it. So what's really cool is the templates that people have built allow you to put your gameplay on one video feed, and then your webcam in another video feed. And then when you drag the effect to your timeline, it will automatically crop your camera to just your face, and then it will automatically format the video to fit. It's super cool. It's like a click and drag thing. I don't know who out there has the effects, but I know that I've seen them. Really, really handy when it comes to editing portrait content. Okay, we did the blur. We did the title. Drew UI, thank you. Yeah, there. You know what's crazy? This is a super quick tangent. For those of you who have never listened to me or watched my stream in the past, I streamed for 8 years not knowing that I had ADHD. And then I streamed. No, I didn't even stream when I was medicated. So you guys got the worst version of me for 9 years on Twitch. How embarrassing. And it's no better now that I'm medicated. I just know when I'm doing it. And now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, Drew UI, right? Built these templates to make people's editing easy. And then people give him shit for charging money for the templates. Suck a cork, video editing community. God, I want everything. I can't, dude, I can't put up with the I need everything for free crowd. Pay for shit. Titles and graphics. Audio editing is going to be a little bit more involved. Let's just do the color correction really quick. So I'm just going to get rid of this clip because it's going to be useless. I'm drag this back over. Color correction. Let's put our shit back. Oh, just made me think of something else. You guys see how right now I'm in a 1920 by 1080p, 16 by 9 timeline, right? Let's say I've edited my video because I want my clip on Twitter to be horizontal, but I am also going to edit this for TikTok and I want it to be portrait. When you switch the timeline resolution over to vertical, it doesn't fit your horizontal into the portrait timeline. It just crops it. So if you are smart with your editing and you keep everything in the center, you could do a pretty quick export to a portrait resolution if you wanted to. Now, there's also some other tricks to do that same thing. Again, using those templates that Drew UI has, it will quickly format your clips to fit that. But let's just say you have like a talking head clip where you were doing a just chatting stream on Twitch, your camera's full screen and you're in the center. You could very quickly change the timeline, do a couple edits, and be done with it. Or you could also change your export settings to be vertical and it'll just export a vertical version of it. There's a couple different ways around that, but that's another fancy thing within DaVinci Resolve. Color. Let me switch this back. Can you have multiple timelines at the same time? I've seen mentioned but never seen done. So that's actually something that who asked me that? Somebody asked me that recently. And I know that there's a way, and I can't remember it. I know that there's something where you can like right click and open in timeline. There is a way. Right click new timeline. Oh my God. That's pretty fancy. Oh. Oh. Okay, but it's not the same clips, right? If I delete this out of here. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, there was something somebody told me recently where they were like, in Final Cut, there's a really easy way to just make it a portrait version without having to change a bunch of shit. And that was one thing he was looking for. So for that Wild Slice, I am somebody who, so I just did a bunch of recording for the company Mackie, right? They give me 5 different products, and I pre-wrote all of my scripts, and I recorded all of the talking head shit in one take. One, like I hit record on my camera once and on my audio recorder once, and I recorded all 5. So what that allows you to do is you can take all of these media clips, all of these audio clips, and create your pools here. And then you can create different timelines. So like if I have 5 60-second portrait videos, but I don't want to put all 5 all on the same timeline, you can separate them. So like this would be my video about the microphone, and then this would be the video about the mic stand, and so on and so forth. I just put all of this shit on one timeline. I don't necessarily split it up like that. I don't see the point, but maybe if somebody explained it to me in a different way, I would understand. But it just hasn't been a need for me. There's probably a benefit to it somewhere. Color. This is actually what DaVinci Resolve started as, or maybe not started as, but was aimed at, was color correction. And to this day, a lot of industry professionals say that the color correction in this app is some of the best in the industry, like bar none, right? They just fucking love it. The only shit I'm going to show you in the beginning is in this bottom left-hand corner. This color tab is also where you would do color keying for green screen. And you'll notice up in this top right corner are these nodes. And nodes are simple to what is over here in this Fusion tab, or similar to these nodes. You can do a lot of really fucking cool shit with the nodes in the color tab. You can do LUTs, you can do color correction, you can stack nodes on top of each other that do different effects. Super, super cool. So just basic color correction, which for gameplay, you're probably not going to do all that much, but let's just say you wanted to do something fun, like here in the clip, as you're dying, you just wanted to make that bitch red. Okay, so let's come back to the edit tab, and I'm going to cut and cut. Back to my selection. So I'm double clicking on that, and I'll open the color tab. And I tend to like this for my little audio edits rather than this. I just prefer having the granular control over those colors. So you can just grab under the gain tab. So think of gain as volume, right? We're changing the amount or the volume of something. So I would just click and drag this red and drag it up, and it would make that shit Hulk blood red. You can also pull out the green, pull out the blue, right? The one thing I will warn you about is undo on the color tab does not work sometimes. And I kid you not, this last video that I was editing, this page kept fucking up and applying LUTs to my entire timeline. And I could not undo it. And it's some sort of bug within Resolve, and it's a big problem. So just know, like, before you start color grading, save. That's another thing. This is important. There is an auto backup feature in Resolve. Where is it? Preferences. Oh, no. Is it user? Yes. Here. Okay. Let's do that again. Up here, Resolve, preferences, user. Do this. Project backups, check that box. Timeline backups, check that bitch. I do a backup every 5 minutes because I don't fuck around. And this has saved me so many times. It will automatically do minute backup, hour backup, and day backup. So as you're editing something, it is automatically saving. And if you need to go back in time, you can. You can choose a location for your backups, which is also great. If you're getting in a Resolve, make sure this is on. It will save your ass. Now, in the conversation of backups, there is also a bug that has fucked me multiple times. Normally, when you're on the edit page and you're moving shit around, it is baked into my brain to save. And I just hit Control S. But because it's saving, because my computer's so fast, you're not seeing the window right here that pop up that says saving project. Now, when I'm saving, oh, there it was. Super quick. If you don't see that video or you don't see that pop up when you hit save, it also means that your timeline is not auto saving. And the fix for that is to come over to the Fairlight tab, click on a clip, and it flashes. Like, it flashes 2 or 3 times. These red boxes around the clips will flash. That is like debugging it. And then you should be able to come back to the edit page and hit save. But if you're on this page and you're fucking around and you're doing stuff and you hit Control S and you don't see that really quick window pop up that hits save, that says save, go to Fairlight, click one of these tabs. You'll see this quickly flash. It looks like it bugs out. Come back here and hit save. Another thing somebody has asked about in the past is creating duplicates. So I'll just show you this right now. Let's go back to Project Manager. And this was the video that I started up before I did the stream. And then this is the one that I'm working on now. If you right click and go to Project Backups, these will show all of the backups that have been created since you have created the project. So they would be in 5-minute increments. And obviously you can't see any because I didn't have it turned on. Maybe I will have some here. Project backups. Nope. But what's cool is if there was a backup there and I went to, if I clicked on it and I hit load, it would create a separate project. So you leave your project intact, and when you restore, it just restores to a totally different one, which is great when the color tab fucks you and you have to undo it all. So that's super important. Backups, knowing how to load backups, it has saved me so many times. There are a lot of times when I'm color grading and I make it a bunch of change, and you hit Control Z to undo the color change, and it just doesn't do it. And you're like, what the fuck? It happens to me pretty often. It's a known bug. It's just one of those things. So if you want to just increase the brightness of a clip, if you grab this gain wheel down here and you drag it up, it's going to make the whole thing brighter, or it'll make the whole thing darker. Some of the other basic things that you'll want to play around with when you're trying to like change the look and feel of something. Temperature, color temperature, make things warmer, make things cooler. Your tint slider, you can add or remove green or magenta tones in your video. That is very important when you're color grading like IRL footage, something that you shot with a camera. Contrast slider, right? Just click and drag these to bring them back and forth. This actually changes the sharpness of the detail, so you can make things really soft as if there was a diffusion filter, or you can make things really sharp by dragging that all the way to the right. Color boost is, I think color boost is their vibrance, where they have saturation. Alexa, what's the difference between saturation and vibrance? Saturation increases the saturation of all colors. So it makes all colors vibrant. What's the other one? Vibrance? My brain! Yeah, vibrance, it says it increases the saturation of the more muted colors of whatever you're editing. That's what Alexa told me. Don't believe her, okay? Hue slider, you're probably not going to touch that very much. And then luminance is also another version of, I think luminance is the highlights of each color. Like it's a saturation slider for only the highlights of it. I can't remember. Don't listen to me about color grading. I don't know what the fucking difference is. I'm a noob teaching noobs. That's the basis of color grading. So the only thing I want to point out is when you are color grading, you are not color grading for the entire track. So look at these as tracks, right? Audio track 1, 2, 3, audio track or video track 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to delete these. Five different groups of clips. When you are on this color tab, see how these are separated out? So this timeline, it's showing all of clips in a linear fashion. So you can see as I'm clicking down the row, over here, it's going up and down. So here was video track 1, 2, and 3, and then later 1, 2, and 3. But even though I'm going from down to up in this slider here, I'm going from left to right up here. So that can get a little confusing when you're doing color grading per clip. The one thing that took me way too long to fucking figure out, click this, do that. I'm going to reset all color grades, reset all color grades. Why is it still showing color? Let me do this. Oh. Gotcha. Okay. Now you see all these clips in a linear fashion. If I click this very first one, which is right here, and let's say I just make it brighter, I'm bringing down the highlights, and I'm boosting the colors. Oh my God. You can see that only over here is just this one clip that has the color grade. And if I go to the next one, the color grade is not applied. If you select, if I use shift, click and hold, I'm sorry, hold shift, click the first one, then click the last one, selects all of them in between. If I middle mouse click this first one, it says replace existing grades, and you hit replace. The color grade from this first clip now gets applied to all of these clips. I think there's another way to do that to where you can create something called an adjustment layer, and then you can apply the color grade to the adjustment layer, and that's how you can do more than one clip color graded at a time. I haven't learned to color grade in that way. So let's say I apply it to all this shit, right? And then I'm towards the end of the video and I go, oh my God, the color grading is not what I want. And that happens a lot when I'm color grading something and I think it looks great, and then I go to bed and I come back the next day and it looks fucked up all the time. And let's do this. Let's take this clip, this clip. I don't know if this is possible in Premiere. I don't remember it being possible. If I click this one, and this one, and then I come up to Inspector and I zoom these in, it zooms in all three of these clips, not just the one. I can't remember if that's a thing in Premiere or not, but that was always one thing I liked. You can select multiple things, move them all at the same time, and they'll all move. I always like that. So those three clips are super zoomed in. I come back to the color tab. I don't know why the thumbnails aren't uploading, but okay. Let's just say I want to change the color grade of the zoomed in ones. So this one and this one, I'm just going to make super, super dark, pull the color out of it. And now those are black and white now. Now it did it. Oh, you can't. Okay. That makes sense. Ah, I get it now. All right. So now let's say I have 3 out of these 8 or 9 clips that I want to revert back to something else, right? So now that I've made the correct color changes, I'm just going to select all those clips that I want, middle mouse click on the color grade that I like, and it applies it to all those other clips. Color grading's fun. There is so much shit in here. It is crazy. So a lot to learn, and I hope that you learn, because if you get this stuff down, you can become a really good video editor for sure. But there's color theory, you know, there's certain standards and practices that have to be applied, but don't get caught up in all that. Just fuck around until you get what you like. All right, that's color tab. That's all I'm doing there. I'm not getting into anything else. Let's do the fairlight tab, and then we'll do a quick export, and we'll call it a day. What is it, about an hour and a half? Not bad. Just about what I was thinking. Do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do. And if you're wondering, Naaackers, you color grade your videos? I only started color grading a couple months ago. Like, I've always done little things here and there to maybe lower some highlights or increase the gain to make something brighter. I do so little color grading. And part of that is because I'm extremely spoiled, because the Sony line of cameras, the color looks so good without any additional shit. It's insane. And it's a color grade that I prefer. Like, the color temperatures that come out of a Sony camera are very pleasurable to me. And same with the iPhone. Like, just shooting raw, or not raw, but just shooting out of the camera app video, the colors are good. You know, there's some HDR issues and some too much digital sharpness as far as the most recent iPhones are concerned. But in general, the colors are great, and I don't have to do too much. Do not let the absence of color grading stop you from making videos. Nobody gives a shit. I know that you go into YouTube and you're watching Peter McKinnon or Patrick Sterling, and their colors are so good, and they've got cinematic LUTs, and everybody's nutting in the comments. Nobody goes to bed at night and goes, oh my God, this video I watched today, the color grade was, made me feel emotion. They don't give a shit. Just tell a good story, make a good video. The color grading, you'll learn down the road. Don't get hung up on that. And you know what? That's advice coming from somebody with a YouTube channel with 1.7 thousand subscribers. What do I know? I just want you to make and not get caught up, okay? Make and masturbate. What was I doing? We're doing fairlight. This is a big clip, isn't it? Are my in and outs fucked? My in and outs were fucked. Hello? Or am I just really zoomed out? That's one thing that really bugs me about Resolve. Look, I'm holding Alt. I'm scrolling up one click on my mouse. Where's the in-between? That's such a big difference. I hate that. I don't like it. It does that on Mac OS too. For some reason, just scrolling in Resolve just isn't a great experience, unfortunately. It's the one downside. But if you have a Magic Trackpad, it's much better. Audio editing. I'm going to try and not go crazy with this, because I don't want to overwhelm you. I know the trackpad is superior. That's why I use it. I have both on my desk now. I have the Magic Trackpad, which I use for 98% of shit. And then I have the Apple mouse as well. What do I want to start with here? What would be... I think I'm just going to go over some of the basic built-in VSTs that they have for audio, because those are the things that are built in are actually super, super powerful. I had a tweet, and I don't want to go find it, a couple weeks ago. I just screen capped the different audio VSTs that I was using for that project at the time. And again, I went 2 years without downloading any third-party VSTs. And that is something you'll see very, very common in the video editing community of plugins and VSTs and, you know, denoiser this and EQ that. You don't need to dip your dick in all of that right away. Just use the stuff that's built in. It's so powerful. It is so good enough that you don't need to go out there and start buying shit, okay? Don't let anybody lead you astray. So I'm gonna hold down Shift and scroll because I want to see them waveforms. And I'm gonna grab the slider out here, drag this out. Remember on this page, we had 4 video tracks. I'm sorry, yeah. 4 audio tracks, 1 video track. Same deal when you come over here to Fairlight. Why does it look like there's audio duplicated? Because these audio tracks are in stereo. So you have a left channel and a right channel. Now, of course, with a microphone, if you're recording a mic into OBS, OBS is going to take your mono signal and mix it into stereo so that, you know, your voice isn't only coming into one channel. So let's say this second channel is a mic channel, and for whatever reason you wanted to downmix it to mono. If you right click, go to change track type and mono, you can see that it changes to just a single mono track instead of having a left and right, but we don't want that right now, okay? Let's say this is my microphone channel. I'm gonna double click that and change this to microphone. And I didn't have a noise gate or an expander at this time. And all of my room noise is just bleeding into my mic signal. If you do not know what an expander is, but you know what a noise gate is, I'm going to urge you to learn the difference and to learn how to use an expander. And I'll give you a super quick rundown of it right now. Let's go XQC with this bitch. Let's say we have 2 graphs here, all right? And we are going to imagine that over on the left side is decibels. This is going to be a decibel graph. Nothing's on the bottom, all right? So let's just say this is, let's do this easy. Yoink. 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 Peanut butter. Let's say negative 60. This is negative 50 decibels. Negative 40. You guys get the idea. And let's just say all the way up here is 0 decibels, which we don't want to be. Over here on the left, this is going to be gate. This is going to be expander. So a lot of you in the streaming world, you have heard of compressors, where compressor is if you have an audio signal that goes above a certain threshold, you can change how fast and how much you are compressing or reducing the audio signal that is passing that threshold. So just as a quick example for compressors, right? Let's say your normal, you know what, I gotta go all the way. Oh, wow, I actually spaced that out perfectly. Nice. All right. Let's say your normal speaking voice is averaging anywhere in between negative 20 and negative 10 decibels. Okay, so when you're stream-a-leamin' and you're talking, it's all just hanging out in this range, negative 10 to negative 20. So let's say you're talking, you're playing Alien Isolation, a big fat alien drops from the ceiling, and you scream. And your audio is going all the way up there. All the way up there, really close to the 0 decibel range. A compressor, you set a threshold. So let's say my compressor threshold, don't go by these numbers, please. My compressor is negative 5 decibels right there. Let's do a different color. We're doing green. My compressor threshold is this. If my audio goes above that threshold, compressor turns on. And if my ratio for the compressor is 2:1, it is going to compress it twice as much. You're going to get twice as much audio reduction. All of these audio signals that are up here will suddenly be brought closer down to that level where your threshold is. And there's so many other factors that come into what actually happens to the audio signal, how fast it brings it down, the amount it brings it down. Expander works in the same way, except that expanders are working down towards the bottom of the audio graph. Okay, so with a noise gate, and this is getting off topic, but it's important if you get into audio editing within Resolve. A noise gate is a hard threshold. It is a door that is either open or closed. And if you've used OBS or if you have used Discord, there's a noise gate that is in there. So let's say within OBS, you set your noise gate to, let's say, -40, right? Noise gate, let me do a hard line. -35 decibels is your noise gate. When you're talking at your -10, -20 decibel range, everything above this threshold is going to be allowed to pass through the gate. Like Cedar Point, you are tall enough to ride all the way up here. Now, if you were given unfortunate genes, like acid wash genes, and you are short, any audio that is going to be in this area, anything that is in between -60, which is around room noise, to -30. Down here could be whispering, coughing, keyboard clicks. Because they are all below the noise gate, nothing is allowed through. Expander works a little bit differently. Instead of it being you're either in or out, it's kind of like having a party where you might be allowed in, but only the frat boys who are a part of the fraternity can go to the second floor where the glory hole is. So let's say with an expander, right? We're going to set that threshold to, we're going to be a little bit more generous with it. Let's say -45 decibels. You don't want a glory hole? Dude, I'm only going to say this once. Who knows how to suck dick better? Men or women? Who do you think out of the two knows what feels better on a penis? And actually, we're getting more into a grander conversation because it's what you identify as. And the person who has the penis knows what feels good, okay? Expander, -45 decibels. Like my TV's gonna turn off. Hold on. Same thing with the compressor. It is not everything that is below. Home field advantage. Yo, you pulled that from that comedian on TikTok, Sharuk. I know you did, because I saw that same TikTok. That made me laugh my ass. Yeah, it was Matt Rife. Okay. So when you're speaking, your normal speaking up here, right? Everything that is above the expander threshold is untouched. Nothing is happening. Instead of on the left of everything happening below the threshold be cut out, everything below the threshold over here is reduced. So all of my keyboard clicks, my coughs, my whistles, doors opening in the distance, instead of them just not being in the audio signal at all, they are just quieted. And sometimes the audio of everything in there is reduced so much that the other things in your stream or your content are actually going to block it out anyways, the keyboard clicks. Or it's so quiet that it's not a big issue. And anecdotally, what I learned as a creator and getting into audio recording, it's actually not a great listening experience when somebody has a noise gate that is constantly cutting in and out of being captured. It's very jarring. And if the room noise is very high and you just hear fans going in and out and air conditioners going in and out or keyboard clicks going in and out, it's jarring and it's not a great experience. With an expander, you can choose to just make all of the unwanted noises quieter so that it's not this audio's on, audio's off experience. And it's always going to be different. It's up to your preference, but I highly encourage you to use expanders. So whenever I have a microphone in DaVinci Resolve, one of the first things that I do is I throw an expander on it, because even if your mic is a condenser or you didn't have a gate before, you can still add it in post after the fact. So if you have an audio signal where it's keyboard clicks through the entire thing, that can be fixed in post. So over here on Dynamics, because I know my microphone track is in track 2, come over here to A2 and double click on the dynamics. And you're going to get this panel, which has an expander, a gate, a compressor, and a limiter, all built into one. Hot damn! That's good shit. So I want to add an expander. So first, you're not going to be able to hear the audio, right? No. This might be a bad clip. Maybe it's better. One thing I forgot to show you. I apologize. Let's go back to the edit thing real quick. There's a line in here you can grab to make the whole track or that whole clip's audio louder and quieter, like you can in Adobe Premiere. That was something I forgot to show you. If you alt-click, you can do those keyframes, or if you just want to make one portion of it louder or quieter, you can do that too. And then alt-clicking, or no, I think it's if you click it and hit delete. Yeah, if you click the keyframe and hit delete, it deletes it. So you can do that from that page too. I'm sorry, I skipped that. Track 2. Let's see. You know, if you can't hear it, it's actually not going to be that big of a deal. So let's, oh my God. I got to mute my speakers. Muted? Oh, see that clipping? There's some clipping in there. If only I had 32-bit float. I don't want to do number 2. I'm going to do track 3. So let's go to track 3 dynamics. And let's turn on the expander. So if I'm letting this audio play, I'm going to go back to the dynamics of the second audio track. Hit play.
Pushed off at the edge.
Because I have a noise gate, you can see there's no audio coming through at all. Because it's completely gated out. And then I get right here.
Pushed off at the
You can see my talking audio is up here at the -5 to -10 decibel range. So if I were to turn on this expander and I move the threshold, you know, if you did this way too close to where your voice is, it's going to sound bad. The ratio is going to cut when you're talking softer, and it's not going to be good listening experience. So let's just say me talking is in the -7 range, and all of my keyboard clicks and breathing sounds are at the -35 range. So if I come up to, let's say, -30, and let's say I just put that ratio, usually anywhere in between 115 and 120 is usually pretty good. It's not too strong of an expansion or an expander, and it works out pretty well. And then when you go ahead and play that audio,
pushed off at the edge,
you can see there's some parts of my talking that are still getting cut off. I don't want that.
Pushed off at the edge.
Some of my speaking is too close. So I'm going to back this threshold off back to 35. Go back and play.
Pushed off at the edge.
That's a little bit better. You have to play back and listen to it. But audio's, it's a lot. There's a lot going on. So that's the basics of the expander. So let's come back to this one, audio 3. Click on the dynamics. And as you can see, right, I can have different dynamics, different EQs, and they apply to the entire track, which is pretty dope. Compressor. It's going to be a good one. Look at all of those loud parts that I've got in this audio track. So I'm just going to come over here.
Misclicked and fucking killed myself.
I'll have that in.
With the rocket launcher?
Yes. Like, I accidentally clicked right when I spawned in.
Loud parts, all the way up close to the...
Like, I accidentally clicked right when I spawned.
So let's flip on the compressor. And already you can see, oh, hey, it's tapering off that audio signal. Anything above the 15 decibel mark is getting roasted. So let's say, let's just make this quieter. Let's make this more realistic and see where the audio...
With the rocket launcher?
Yes. Like, I accidentally clicked right when I spawned in.
The average audio is down here closer to like the -30 range, and then you can see the loudest parts of that audio is coming up all the way over.
Like, I accidentally clicked right when I spawned.
You can use a compressor or a limiter. A limiter does some of the same things that a compressor does. And I want to crank that ratio 4:1. Absolutely. And you can see as I change that ratio, that audio signal is tapering off super hard, right? If you turn that to 20:1, a lot of audio reduction. Now if I play it back.
Like, I accidentally clicked right when I spawned in.
You can see it's getting tapered off up there. And you can actually see how many decibels of reduction are
done it
when it's passing that threshold in the compressor. These are all things that you're going to learn as you get better with audio. And what you can do too You can do that individual audio tracks, or if you wanted to just add a limiter to all audio, if you came over here to dynamics, flipped on the limiter, and then you put your limiter to -1 decibel, crank the attack speed, or I'm sorry, shorten the attack speed to be really, really quick. No audio would ever go above that. You're very welcome, Crosswell. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for popping in. I'm glad it could be helpful. Don't get me wrong, the audio in DaVinci is great. If I'm talking, I use my mic track to automatically lower the volume. And if you do more editing than your own recording, you might have the luxury of someone having already dealt with their audio through their own mic. Are you saying that you don't mess with audio in DaVinci at all? Do you think we're going to see a rise in 32 audio devices? Also, do you remember the Mad TV Sopranos episode where 90% was muted? I do not remember that. But yeah, 32-bit float is going to get popular because of the marketing buzz around the word 32-bit float. There's a pretty large discussion going on right now about the actual use of 32-bit float for normal everyday people. But it's handy. I mess with audio barely any. I deal with my mic in OBS as it's being recorded. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it all depends on where you want to do that stuff, right? If you're primarily doing recordings in OBS, then if you want to do your audio editing in there, you totally can. I'm somebody who uses my primary iPhone, my old iPhone, my A6400. I'm using webcams. I'm using webcam mics sometimes. I'm all over the place. And especially with music, when it comes to sound design and sound effects and things that you're adding, it's a really good idea to get familiar with this because there's also audio effects that are built into DaVinci, which is something kind of that I skipped over. But that's really the majority. As you can see, there is also an integrated EQ. Is this a 6-band EQ? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 6-band EQ. So you can flip these on. You do a hard high pass filter. You can increase your lows, right? Adjust the amount. Just the Q factor level. You can do all your EQing in here. Not even going to bother going into that because EQing is a science of its own. But real quick, as far as audio effects. If you came over to audio effects, there's a lot of built-in ones that are really good that I use often. I use chorus, delay, de-esser. The dialogue processor is actually really cool. This is kind of like a one-click drag, a bunch of VSTs that are built in, right? Rumble, depop, de-ess, compressor, expander, excite. If you don't want to get into the more detailed VSTs that are in this panel and you just want to apply some effects to a clip like that, you can really do some damage here as well. There's some really cool effects in here. I use distortion, echo, flanger. I've used modulation, noise reduction. Ooh, that's right. They have a multiband compressor. If you know what you're doing with compressors, that's a great place to be as well. I've used reverb and voice channel. Those are all things that, again, you just click and drag these over, apply it to a clip. You get the little graphical user interface. And if you make some changes here and then you hit close and you're like, shit, where the fuck did that thing go? You can see that there's a little effects tab down there and a little effects tab down there. So if I click on that one, you can see the dialogue processor effect that I brought over before. Hit the little effects, and then it brings up the GUI of that audio effect again. Okie dokie. That is kind of the majority of Fairlight. One thing I do all the time too is doing voiceover work directly in Resolve. So if you come over to input, so let's say I want to record some voiceover into, so if I click over here and I go to input, and because my mic is going to be track 2, I'm going to click on this and go to input. I don't have any microphones plugged into my gaming PC because I route my shit digitally, but I do have audio. So let's say I wanted to input the NDI audio from my streaming PC and I wanted to patch it into these two. So you can see the track numbers are in these little things here, but because I clicked on input on track 3, it's automatically selected track 3. So you hit patch, and that is virtually connecting your mic input device to this track here in Resolve. So then I hit close. And then if I hit R, this is arming this track for recording. So if I was to hit this record button here, everything that I would be saying into my microphone would be getting put directly into this track. And then if you fuck up, you hit stop. Shut up, Siri. Go back, hit record. And then again, you can record directly in here. The cool thing about that is if you've got your VSTs all built in already and you're using the same microphone, all of the same audio effects are going to get applied to that track because the audio is into the track that all of the effects have. So if I were to hit stop, you would see all these waveforms here from me speaking. You can't see it because I don't have a microphone. That's super cool. I really enjoy doing voiceover right into DaVinci. It makes it super easy. With these VSTs that are built in, you can save presets. So if I go over here to, let's say I made a bunch of changes, right? Turn on the compressor, turn on the limiter, make a bunch of changes, do the same thing for EQ. I'm going to create that preset. Create new, test, preset. Now, that bitch is there all the time. So if you're using the same mic, you can just make presets for both EQ and your dynamics. Same thing over here. Hit add, create new, test. Now you have a preset for your EQ as well. Super awesome to have those. Can you do that while seeing the preview of the video? You can, kinda. So if you're coming over here to the edit tab and you're already making adjustments, if you come over to effects, I think is it track 2 that has it? No, is it track 3? Oh, there it is. Yeah, I don't think you can see. There it is. This is something that was hidden by default. I forgot to show that earlier on. Can you double click these to open it? No. That's just audio panning. I wonder. Nope. Can I hide them? Meters? Mixer? I can't right click on anything either. There might be. I won't say no. There might be another way to get to it. But it's pretty rare that I'm doing my audio editing from this tab. I'll do little volume edits here and there, you know, adding keyframes to make things louder or quieter. If I know that I just want to make a single part of this video louder, right? So let's say I have these clips back to back to each other, and I know I just want to add distortion to here. Or let's just do modulation, right? Click and drag, modulate to that. Yeah, see, there's already effects on that one. I want to show it. I'll make love to you like you want me to. Modulation. Then you see the little effects tab there. And this will pop up. I've had it, just to give you an idea of the bugs, I've had issues in the past where I drag an effect from here to a single clip and this does not pop up. That is a bug as well. And sometimes you just have to quit Resolve and reopen it and that'll fix. So again, this is just messing with the modulation for this single clip here. Again, if you hit close and then you're off doing other things, moving stuff around. If you click on that single clip again and you go to effects, that modulation is here and you can reopen the GUI for that too. Was thinking recording the additional audio while watching the video. Oh yeah. So yeah, when you're on the Fairlight tab, it plays up here. It's not very large. But it does give you a little, I'm sure I could make it bigger if I wanted to. Yeah, there you go. You're forgiven. All right, that's it for Fairlight. Okay, last thing, deliver. This is kind of like your export tab. For the most part, you can leave a lot of this default when you're starting out. It's going to take your timeline settings and it's going to give you additional settings that you can change, but it's going to take most of the timeline stuff and leave it. There are also these presets up here that will allow you to choose what kind of situation you're exporting for. The typical H.264. You can do exporting into MP4. You can do MOV if you're working within QuickTime. You can do just audio, just video exports. There's a couple different things you can do. The one thing I want to show you is render jobs, which again, I don't think that this is specific to Resolve, but it's just something I learned how to do in Resolve. All right, so let's say I have this very long timeline, and I know that there are 5 different clips that I want to get from this one timeline. So come over to Deliver, and I'm going to name this Clip 1. Caps lock, stop. Clip 1. Just going to save that there. Okay. I'm doing MP4, H.264, encoder, right? If I wanted to use my GPU to do the export process, you can. Resolution 1920, leave it. Frame rate 60, leave it. These are the things that are going to be selected when you made your timeline in the beginning. You can get into all of these additional settings if you want to, but you don't need to. If you're just doing simple clips, it is very, very easy to get lost in all of this. You don't need to. Just leave this stuff default, right? Audio, make sure that's at 320. If the clips that you have, I think when I was recording this video, it was with a new install of OBS, and I forgot to change the audio bitrate to 320. Again, it's going to retain the settings of the clips that are there. So a lot of the times you aren't going to have to mess with this very often. And then file, I almost never really click on this, on that tab really. So let's do this. We're going to call this clip 1. So I'm going to click there. This is clip 1. These are all the settings I want for clip 1. Add to render queue. You can see that it popped over here on the right. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to do another in, do another out, and I'm calling this clip 2. Keep all the same settings. Add to render queue. Nothing is rendering yet. These are just, we're queuing jobs one after the other. Go down a little bit more. In, out. Clip 3, add to render queue. And now, if I click the first one and then hit render 1, it's just going to render that first clip. If I shift click to the last, you can see that changed to render all. Dope. It'll render them one after the other, and it'll create 3 different video files. That's kind of it for the export. You know, there's so many other things you can do here. You can change how many passes the export is doing, look ahead frames. You can do bitrate control. If you wanted to just export the audio of something, you uncheck the export video, come over to audio, and then you can make changes to this stuff, and it'll just export a video, or I'm sorry, a audio file of it. Of course, you don't want an audio file in MP4. If you were to change this to MP3, yeah, look at, now you get a little bit depth drop down. But there's a lot more. But in general, if you were to keep these at H.264 and you put this to MP4, leaving all of this is going to give you a good end product. There's a lot to learn here. I'm not gonna, I can't dive into it all. There's just so much. But that's the basis of the Deliver tab. All right. I think that's all I got. I gotta take another sip. I'm parched. I haven't talked this much in a row for a while. I think that's it. I'm gonna look at my talking points real quick. Features, audio, titles, color correction, trimming, basic, importing. Yeah, we touched on all of it. All right, are there any questions? Is there anything that I didn't cover on or that I skipped over too fast? Any questions that anybody has, go ahead and just post them in the chat. I'll give you guys a couple minutes in case there's anything you want to learn. I'm thinking too. I'm thinking if there's anything additional that I could give yous. I don't think so. I'm pretty basic when it comes to my edits. I don't do anything fancy. I'm just getting into color grading, just getting into effects and plugins. And I'm learning. I'm learning just like all of you are about to. And I'm glad that we got to do this because like it's kind of like a little refresher to me on just education and how to package things nicely for people to learn. And you know, I'm glad we were able to turn it into a learning experience. It's so fun. Completely new to Resolve, so probably more about just jumping in. This was helpful though for sure. Awesome. I'm glad. I'm very glad. One sort of specific question, project management. I do Let's Play for Minecraft, and at the moment, I do a new project for each episode. I feel like this is excessive, but I'm not sure if it's right, or if there's a better way to handle the structure of projects folders. I don't think that's too much. I do a new project for every TikTok that I edit. Every YouTube short, every Twitter video, it's its own project. On my Mac, let's see here. I'm going to open up the project manager and see how many I have. Manager. Oh my God. Yeah, there's like 200 plus projects. I prefer to keep stuff separate. Now, you might be different to where you are very dependent on your bin structure or your favorited plugins, and right, I've never found a reason to work within the same timeline or work within the same project for an extended period of time. Every time I start a new video, I start a new project. I think from a performance point of view, it's probably a good idea because you don't want media just hanging around that might be causing performance to not be as great as it could be. For me, just starting from a fresh slate, especially when it comes to color grades and applying audio effects to entire tracks, to me, it just makes more sense to have it separate. I don't think you're doing anything wrong per se when it comes to opening up a new project. Like I said, if I'm creating a new project for every short form video I'm making that's 30 to 60 seconds long, I don't think there is going to be a problem. If you want to create a Fusion overlay, Resolve can export video with an alpha channel, FYI, so you can use Fusion to create some awesome motion graphic stuff. Yes, I have done that too. If you guys have seen product videos on TikTok where I have that little pop-up that's like, hey, disclaimer, this is not paid by the brand, but I did get the product for free. I actually made that in Resolve. I created all of the images and text in Photoshop, exported them all as separate layers, and then I created the animation within Resolve. Not even using the Fusion page. It was just keyframing motion. And that's something that you can do. And then you throw a chroma key background on it. I think I have a wallpaper in my wallpaper folder on my NAS just called Chroma Wallpaper. And it's just the exact hex green for chroma keying. Throw it in the background. And that's if you like, because I think with iOS, iOS doesn't deal with alpha channels well. So I got in the habit of exporting with the green screen in the background. But yeah, like AK is saying, with the alpha channel, it's a great way to do that as well. Bins are just these folders up here, Wild Slice. We touched on this in the beginning. You're just creating different folders. And then there are smart bins where you can create different collections of some of your most used things. So things that you put into smart bins, you can get in any other projects. The media files aren't limited to them, to that project. Yeah, they're global. Again, this is something that I haven't used very often because I keep all of my assets very organized on my NAS. They're all in the same folder. So when I need them, I just grab them and drag it in. But this is actually a really, really good thing to utilize, especially if you're doing the same type of content often. It can definitely expedite your editing process. Alrighty, any final questions before we call this bitch? Thank you for the link, AK. And that's another great thing about, kind of like these like interactive learning sessions, which I should have made you all pay for. Just kidding. Is other people have good shit too. I'm not the smartest dude in the room. I am the medium smartest. And I still shit my pants. It's great to be able to sit here with other people and collect resources, which is why I just thoroughly enjoy these groups of learning. It's why being around people that are doing the same thing that you're doing is such a great way to learn, because you just pick up on so much. And that's why I love Twitter too, because I follow a lot of people on Twitter that do educational content, especially around all of this stuff too. It's just great. You learn a lot of shit. Learn a lot of shit. So, what do you guys want to talk about? All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Joe Tashi, I'm gonna let you finish what you're typing because you've been typing for a hot second, just in case you have a question. Just like Adobe links Photoshop and Premiere, do you think we'll see an open source version for Resolve in GIMP or other apps? No, I doubt it. I doubt it. You know, when it comes to this is an anecdotal opinion. This is my opinion. This is not how the world works. It is difficult for industry professionals to base their careers on not officially supported software. Open source is great. Open source is great for the community, and it's even better for accessibility when it comes to things being free and widely available for anyone, anywhere, doesn't matter. When it comes to industry standards and professionals, it's not often that open source products are at the core. And I think that's one thing that live streaming and content creation in general has like sort of started to change a little bit with OBS, one of the most successful open source projects in the history of the world, right alongside Linux. But also, you know, think about how many day-breaking problems or stream-breaking problems OBS can have, and how some development is a little bit slower, and how some things don't get implemented as fast as they should. It's really difficult for people to put their careers on the line for that stuff. And so I'm not saying that open source just doesn't have a place in the highest echelon of the industry, but it's gonna, I don't know if it's ever going to. You need money behind it. And if your whole life, if your whole career, your life, your bank is all based on this app working, you don't want to have to make a post on a forum when you can't export a client's video. When somebody gets married and you've got 40 hours into a video edit and you can't export because there's a bug, it fucking sucks to have to go to a forum where nobody from the company is answering, or because everyone's so sick of helping each other and it's a bad week and you just don't get answers. It's one of the big reasons why Ubiquity, right? Ubiquity products for corporate and enterprise. It's really difficult for IT companies to put their money with Ubiquity and throw 100 access points in an office building when there's no SLA for support. There's no guarantee to get help for what you need. And that's kind of the same thing with open source. So it's open source is an amazing thing to have, but for this kind of stuff, it's just kind of different, you know? And that's just kind of my take on it. Big reason why there's rifts between Linux and Apple people or Apple and Windows people. You know, just think about all of the open source free applications that you've used from the beginning of time. There's so many amazing ones. But then also think about all the times they've shit the bed, or they haven't worked, or they've had game-breaking bugs that have lasted 3 versions, right? And it's not to say that doesn't happen with, you know, certified solutions that are backed by big corporations. It just happens less. There's an obligation by the software developers to fix it. Did New Tech make NDI open? I'm pretty sure it's open source. You know what's funny about that is I went to go download the NDI plugin for OBS before I got started today. It is no longer on the OBS forums. It is hosted on GitHub, and it's not on the forums anymore. It's like, oh, that's new. Either that or the OBS forum search just didn't bring it up. But I had to get it from... Oh, that's right. That's why I've been getting the NDI plugin is broken on my streaming PC. Forgot about that, which is fine because I'm actually using NDI Tools, the installer, for sending NDI to my streaming PC right now for this recording. Right in the bottom right here, this is the screen capture HX part of NDI Tools 5. And it is sending my video in H.265, high quality, 1440p, it's 60 hertz, over to my streaming PC. And no OBS is open, and it's sending this shit full resolution over to my streaming PC. Actually works really, really well. Can be a little wonky sometimes for gaming, but for desktop capture and shit like this, works really well. NDI Tools 5, you can download it for free from their website. Super good. And there's so many other tools. Let's go to here. Yeah. Remote connection manager, screen capture, studio monitor. Studio monitor, let's say you have 5 different computers, all on your internal network that have NDI turned on. Studio monitor will allow you to monitor all 5 of those incoming NDI feeds at once. Super fucking awesome. Really cool if you're trying to do some fancy OBS capturing shit at home. So I think if I go here, yeah, right here, Gooch! That's the name of my computer. Because I have multiple screens, and because the my GPU has multiple encoders, you can see that there's multiple options. This is monitor 1, monitor 2. So I can, if I just wanted to send my second monitor to my streaming PC, I could, or just send the one. And I could view it here if I wanted to. Super cool! All right, kids. I believe that is all I have for you today. 2.5 hours. This was awesome. I'm going to brainstorm how I can do more things like this in the future. Because let's have a real moment here, okay? I miss being live. I do not miss being a streamer. I love hanging out with homies, doing screen capture shit, doing recordings, talking about tech, but I do not miss the community of streamers and all the other shit that comes with it. The drama, the clicks, the engagement farming, just all of it. I'm 32 years old, man. Being a streamer is a young man's game. And I want to use the live streaming technology of our current world in different ways. And one day I'll stream again on Twitch or somewhere else, YouTube, whatever. But I love this shit. Hopefully Discord makes some changes to make this experience a little better. This is cool. I mean, this has been good, right? So on a scale from 0 to 10, how was the viewing experience? Like quality wise? Out of 10. A 9 out of 10. Stopped streaming in February, and I should have done it long ago. I mean, that's the thing too, right? I streamed for 10 fucking years. Fun fact, did you know you can capture an iPhone overhead view using the remote connection on the computer, scan the QR code over in Safari, and select your camera? No, I didn't. But maybe that's because I've always had like the NDI app or Epoch Cam installed. 9 out of 10. Overall experience, 7 out of 10. Or your overall experience rating, would that be because of just the awful Discord UI for for screen sharing? Dude, I hate the UI. It's so bad. But again, you know, talking about, I know Discord isn't open source. I don't think it is. The accessibility, how cool it is for me to stream 1440p, 60 frames per second to people with, you know, that's cool. And it's real time as shit. Like the things that I am saying, you guys are responding to incredibly fast and very, very fast. The only other downside, I guess it's technically not free because I have Nitro or because my server is boosted. I think I get higher frame rate and resolution options, which is like, I did just get off of my grandfathered Discord plan. I upgraded to the full Nitro for the extra boosts and the frames, the boosts, the emotes, and something else. But yeah. So anyways, fantastic time today. Thank you all so much for showing up. I hope you learned something. I hope that my ADHD and my rants were not too distracting. I really appreciate you all coming through and hanging out. Even those that knew Resolve, just coming in to hang out and share resources. So many people were like, dude, fucking paywall it and make it like an exclusive thing. And I'm so scared. I hate paywalling information. And it makes me an awful business person. I'm never going to grow because I don't know how to tier payments and shit. So even if I did do it in the future, it would be really, really fucking cheap. Like the cost of a $5 a month would just be like an all access thing for Discord and for Twitter. Like I know Twitter subscriptions are coming soon. I don't know how to utilize that shit, dude. I don't like putting money in front of education, but I also like making money to continue doing the things that I do, you know? The duality of it all. Anywho, thank you all so much. Y'all have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. I hope you do something fun. I hope you get some good food, some good drinks. I'm thinking a Slurpee and an apple fritter titter, motherfuckers. Y'all have an apple fritter with your dudes. Yeah. Oh my God, it is Saturday. Did I say Sunday? My bad. That's it. It's fucking over. Game over, man. Thank God it's Saturday, dude. I would take tomorrow off of work if it was actually Sunday. Except I can't. Oh my God, I fucking can't. Good night. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you around the interwebs, all right? Goodbye. End it. How do I end this bitch?